That's the doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly. We haven't been on for 2 weeks. We were on May 1st. That was the last time we were on. It's now May 19th. And what's up, Canadian Glenn?
Buenos dias. Welcome.
Oh, man. Let me get this music off. So yeah, let's get the sponsors out of the way before we forget. Who's your sponsor today, Glenn?
Today's show is brought to you by Blue Dream.
I was smoking Snowman OG, but now I'm smoking wax, as you heard just before we started. When I was choking my lungs out. It's just OG wax. I don't know. It's a crumble. It's awesome. So that's what I'm smoking. So yeah, what do we have to go over today? Oh, after this show, Celeb Scoter's doing his Go Punk Yourself show, and it's going to be 80s revolutionary music, 80s protest music. So listen to that. It'll probably be on like an hour or an hour and a half after this, depending on how long we go. Maybe 2 hours after this.
Well, yeah, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Well, I was going to say, yeah, just wait a minute. This isn't like a radio station. It's not like he's sitting there waiting for us to end and then he goes on. Like, forget it.
He is.
No, it can't be. It can't be.
He's got his finger on the button right now in case we go off, like, any second. No, it starts at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Whatever time we go off, he'll come on at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
All right.
That's
later
10 p.m.
this
Eastern
evening.
time.
Yeah, later this evening would be the safer thing to say.
Yeah, go smoke some bowls. Do whatever you have to do. Go buy your toilet paper and come on back and he'll be jamming. Oh. So yeah, lots of bad stuff today. But I guess we're going to start off just going over the union again. Is that what's happening?
That's what's on the list.
Yeah. I'm pretending like I didn't write some of the list. Most of the list. Yeah. Nolan, get better. Nolan was maybe going to be on today, but I guess it didn't work out. So hope he gets better. Hope he comes back soon. We miss him.
Yeah.
So yeah, last time we did the union show, like I just finished telling you, I was all super stoned, really tired from not sleeping for like a day or two, and I was really depressed because the pigs killed one of my homies, and I sounded like a zombie, more than I usually sound like a zombie. So I just figured we'd go back over things really quick today, like a brief summary for the people that couldn't stomach that whole waiting on Glenn part of that show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, your part sounded like a normal person. My part sounded like a zombie. And then there was like a 2-minute part where I didn't even hit the mute button, so I was talking and nobody would know what the hell I was saying. Look, Go Punk Yourself, Celeb Scoter's in there. What's up, man? So yeah. What is the union? Can you describe the union real quick in a easy way, Glenn? Or
Well, the main thing about it is a lot of people think that being involved, doing something that can make a difference is like some big plan. You got to be part of something. You got to do this. You got to do that. No, that's that isn't how we got to where we are. People would have died out fucking millennia ago if nothing happened unless it was organized on a grand scale. Like, that's just not how shit happens. And I think what the union is doing is bringing all these things, not just together in one place, which it will be when the website is launched, but people need to be reminded about the little things. You know, like some of the missions that the union makes you aware of, and these are not risky. That's another thing. People think that if you're going to be a quote-unquote activist, then it's dangerous. You're going to get arrested. Cops are going to thump you, this, that. No, that's just not the reality of it. You know, again, same thing. There wouldn't be activism if that's the way it all went. You know, sometimes that may be the way to go. I don't have a problem with that, but not always. You know, stuff like I'm not really connecting with the catchy mission names, but I mean simple things.
The mission names are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean things that have been around for a while and have kind of, people forget about them. Stuff like an LFL, a little free library. I mean, you know, I know of 3 in my neighborhood, and it's just something very simple. Everybody respects it, you know. There's no assholes going up on lawns running it over, and nobody's shooting it like a fucking mailbox. People respect it, and it's appreciated. There's stuff like that. There's stuff like socks. You know, that's always something that gets overlooked. There's a million things you can do if there are houseless people in your neighborhood. There are so many things that can be done simply and risk-free, generally, and at no or very little cost. People just have to be reminded about this stuff. And especially with the world today, there's more of this stuff needed all the time, you know? I mean, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better, as far as I'm concerned, and we'll talk about some of that. But the union is a place where you don't have to pledge allegiance, you don't have to fit a category. It's a place where you can come and you can see what ideas are out there for just helping make shit better. And it can be on your backyard scale, or it can be as big a scale as you want. That's up to you.
Yeah, that sums it up nicely. Yeah, a lot of the missions you were talking about on these early missions especially are to build a community before more missions come.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if you're excluding the neighbors you have without houses or different neighbors for different reasons, then you're not building the community or the, you know,
yep,
whatever you want to build in your area, whatever you need. Some areas need an army, a people's army. You know, some areas might need just a community garden, but yeah, and then like you said, you don't have to do a mission, you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? The union has a specific set of beliefs because, you know, we don't want Nazis in the mix of a lot of stuff, but if a Nazi wants to go and give money to a homeless person, I don't care, as long as the person's getting taken care of and he's not giving them that ideology along with it. You know, I don't care. It's about people getting helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know there's probably some questionable people that will do missions to help people. Like, they're not horrible people, but maybe they believe some fucked up shit, you know? And maybe through the union they can like wake up a little bit and get educated by other people and not believe some of that fucked up shit that they might believe, and look at people as equals and let people live their lives happy and free, and maybe even protect other people that aren't like them. 'Cause there's a lot of fucked up shit, like just people against people, like we've talked about before, like somebody living in an apartment struggling, you know, a real low rent place, struggling to pay rent, or in the projects on you know, on Section 8 or whatever, and they're talking shit about the homeless person who is just directly, you know, below them on the financial scale, because if they lose something, they lose funding, they lose their job, something goes wrong, they're right there in that same situation. But, you know, I see people like that on my YouTube mocking homeless people, calling them all kinds of terrible names. I've seen people on the streets say it should be cool to firebomb them. The police should be able to just sweep out, you know, blow them out with fire and guns and get rid of them. These are people. These could be you. And then this, you know, once all this stimulus shit is over, which is nothing right now here in the U.S., there's going to be a lot of people that don't have jobs and don't have any source of income once their you know, their unemployment runs out. There's no more stimuluses they're going to give. That's going to leave a lot of people in a fucked up situation, and I don't even think they see it coming yet.
Well, I think the question is, do they want to see it? Number one, for a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, this is a feature of our so-called society. Anything that somebody has that's more than somebody else, there's a part of society that tells them that that means they're better than that person. And like you said, one change of events puts them right side by side with the person they think they're better than, you know. But yeah, nobody wants to think about that. I mean, this is the same old willful blindness bullshit. I mean, we've talked about this on this show before. You see polls with two questions. In the next 5 years, are things going to get better or worse? Well, they're probably going to get worse. That's what 2/3 of people say. For you personally, in the next 5 years, will things get better or worse? 2/3 say, "Oh, it'll get better for me." The whole country's going to go to shit, but it'll get better for me. Yeah, sure. Checks in the mail. Fuck.
So yeah, moving right along. I guess. So this is real quick. A real quick summary of how the union works. You know, go to follow. You are the Union One, the number one. You are the Union One on Twitter for right now, and read the pinned tweet. That's the union's platform. That's their beliefs and the demands. You know, and if you agree with most of that, then scroll down and you'll start seeing missions. And missions come in different colors. There's even like little videos people made that explain how to navigate through missions and all this. But real quick, there's red, yellow, green, and blue. Those are 4 colors, and they're risk levels. Blue is for people who really can't leave their house, disabled people, people who, you know, maybe they're really, really busy and they just have a few minutes a day to do something. Blue level missions are kind of those things. And you could make them as big as you want with any mission. So those are the blue levels, no risk at all. Then you got green level, which is low risk. You won't probably get arrested or anything, you know, for a green level mission. It's like taking dog food and giving it to homeless people who have dogs, or taking bottles of water and giving it to people. Because like I said, the first missions right now are community building. You're building your army, and the other ones are promoting the union so people can grow and more people can come in and do missions. Okay, then from green you have yellow, which is low risk, and I don't think we've had any yellow missions yet. And those are things that you can get maybe fined or slap on the wrist kind of thing, for doing their, in the borderline of legal, illegal, whatever. Then you have red missions. And they're high risk. It doesn't necessarily mean they're illegal. It means there's a risk. Like one of them is filming police. If you're out there filming police, you can get murdered. You can get locked away in jail. You can get fined. You can get brutalized and beat. You can get your equipment stolen. So that's a red level mission because it's dangerous. And in some places it's illegal. So we encourage people to assess what they're willing to do and what consequences they're willing to take if caught doing something, and choose their mission accordingly. Everybody's not built to do red levels, and everybody's not built to stay on just doing blue and green levels. Everybody has their own threshold for that shit, right? So,
yeah,
like, and the way I look at it, like, is people are sending stuff in, and I'll tell people now too, because if you think of a great mission, send it in to us. We'll add it. We'll add it to this giant list we have, and there's like 3 to 5 come out every week. That's basically how it works. And if something happens as needed, maybe more will come out that week. Depending on what's going on. But yeah. Like I tell people when they're doing the missions, and this is what people should think too, don't expect people to do something you're not willing to do.
Yeah.
Don't have some crazy mission that like I wouldn't ask nobody to do something that I wouldn't be willing myself to do. And that varies from person to person. So you're gonna have some high level red missions, and you're gonna have some low level blue missions, and everything in between. Because the people are making these missions and their comfort levels are different. So that's kind of what makes the union great. Everyone's input. The more input, the better.
Yeah, there's something you just said there, and it triggered to me, one of the things that was always said that the union would avoid. And, it's when you talk about not expecting others to do things that you wouldn't do, and along those lines, that's something that was one of the, I don't know whether to call it a feature, but it was one of the situations that a lot of people that got involved with Anonymous ended up in that category. There's a lot of people that had no idea what was involved with what they were doing that ended up either behind bars or issued enormous fines for, something that most likely should not be illegal by any means, but it is, because we know who runs the show. That's something that really hurt that movement at a critical point in time when it looked like nothing could slow it down. But yeah, you get innocent people thrown in jail supporting your cause. Yeah, it's probably going to decline your popularity somewhat. There's going to be absolutely none of that sort of thing at the union. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the difference. We are anonymous. We were anonymous. Or you are the union. The union's up to you. There's no ops. There's just missions. And you scroll through the missions. Like things that are coming up is going to be the website, like you talked about earlier. I don't have control over that. But when it gets done, it'll be a glorious day. And you go there and you pick your level right off the bat. Do you want blue, green, yellow, or red? And then missions will pop up. And then you can scroll through them. And everything you're looking at right then is in your level. Or, the highest level you'll tolerate or whatever.
Yep.
But, I encourage people to go do these missions. Some of them seem silly. But they're not. It's trying to grow the union, get more people, more people doing good things. You have a better world faster. There's one called Pyramid Scheme. I know you don't like the names, but yes, get get 10 people to do 2 missions apiece, and when they're done with those, encourage them to do more. Don't. It doesn't say encourage them to follow the union. It doesn't encourage them to do anything like that. Encourage them to do 2 missions apiece, and preferably the missions would be something going out and helping some people in the community that need help.
Yeah.
And then people start to know you, and then people trust you. And then you need information or something, you can get the information. You know what's going on in the streets around you and the neighborhoods around you. That's important if you're an activist. That's what these missions do. You're building a team of people that trust and know that you support them, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to support you back.
Yep.
And that's how it works. I got people to come and tell me the police are doing this, this is happening, that's happening. As soon as I hit over there, I'll start hearing stuff. And I know what's going on. I know if there's going to be sweeps. I know all kinds of stuff that's going on. And that's good, especially when I'm working a lot, or like right now under the the lockdown orders and all that, where I can't get down there. Well, there's other issues too. But yeah, I haven't been able to get down there as much as possible, and that's going to change hopefully in the next few weeks. But yeah, I can just stop by and pretty much get info on what's going on from people, because the people know I'm on their side. The people know I'm there to protect them and take care of them. That's just, get to know everybody in your community, and then you'll sort out the good and the bad people. These people be on my side. These people, they're down with this. These people will show up if I want to do a protest or something. These people will come and help me hand out something to people. These people will help me go hit up posters or do graffiti or whatever it is. You can have a group of people that's down to help you do that. And then these people are snitches. They're going to call the police every time somebody comes out here. So I'm going to take care of that by warning people or doing what I got to do or shaming them, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start to know and you build your community. You're like, this is us. Now you have a we are the union, because each union is its own area, its own group. People working together, trying to spread out like a virus to the net. You know what I mean? I hope I'm making this clear.
Well, I mean, to me, a lot of that's human nature. Like I said earlier, that's how we're still here. Because, it's part of our base programming that we work together. Face it, forget all the capitalist accumulation bullshit. The bottom line is it's part of our makeup that we do things together, whether it's for, as in marriage, as in procreating. Can't do that by yourself. From that all the way to raising.
You can if you're a scientist.
Wow. Yeah, but it's not general access, shall we say. The only way that we continue is because people have to put in all that effort to raise children. I mean, especially in this, what's happening right now, I don't think the political machine is too upset by keeping people apart. That's always been the issue. How many millions of times have you heard somebody say, there's a hell of a lot more of us than there is of them? Well, has it ever mattered in the last couple 100 years? Not that I'm aware of,
I'm hoping eventually it does matter, though.
Well, it better, because sooner or later, it may not. But for now, I think it certainly could. But yeah, like you said, this is about building community. This is about building life experience as well. You know, because everybody growing up most likely had to move, had to change schools, had to do whatever. Yeah, it sucked, but it didn't kill you, did it? No. You know, you may have not liked it for a while, but you made new friends, didn't you? You know, you found out about what's what, who the good teachers are, who the assholes are. You still found all that stuff out. And that's because you either saw it being in this new group or somebody in the new group told you. That's just how shit works. So, you know, that's the biggest thing when I look at what the union is going to be doing. These aren't great efforts. This is just a state of mind, a different perspective. Help somebody. Find out who somebody is. It's not that hard, and it's not a bad idea. That's all.
It's anarchy at its finest. I'm serious, it is. But yeah, real quick, because we got to wrap this and go on to the actual content of the show. How to get involved? Like I said before, just go to Twitter. You are the Union 1 at You are the Union 1. That's YOUARETHEUNION 1. And read the pinned tweet, and then scroll down, find missions, and go complete them. Now we have 2 cards with every mission. The second card just basically has information on how to do it, some tips and extra stuff, you know, different things to think about, things to help make it easier for you or whatever. Just read through that and do it. And the more people doing this stuff, the better. And by the time some of the bigger missions start coming in the future, I mean, eventually there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of missions. But there's going to be missions that require you to have a group of people. There's going to be missions that require you to have the support of the neighborhood behind you. And without doing the work, you're not going to get that. That's why it says, by your works you shall be known. Yep. I can't speak today. Because, yeah, you have to do the work. You have to build on things. You know, you can't just start, I'm going to do this and everyone's going to support it. Maybe, I mean, good luck. But if you had a grassroots, you know, support from the work, from being out there in the community all the time, you're going to be a lot stronger later when you need to be. And you're going to have a lot more realistic support.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's that on the union, I think. Anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, the first topic is the coronavirus is causing lockdowns in states and cities all over the world. There is an increasing group of crazy, selfish people, mostly in the U.S., who believe it is a hoax. And they would rather go out and get a haircut than to mildly inconvenience themselves to save the lives of other members of their community. And this is going on in Canada, too, you said, right, Glenn?
Oh, yeah. There are anti-lockdown protests in Canada.
I just saw a video just a few minutes ago. This dude went into Costco, I guess to get in, you got to go through a line, and they got people at the door in Costco. I don't know if you have Costco there.
Yep.
It's like he had to wear his mask to get in. Then he takes his mask off and starts yelling at people like, you're taking away my rights. I thought when I woke up this morning I was in a free country, and the dude just took his cart and was like, have a nice day. You're not welcome here anymore. Then dude's like, come on, I'll put on my mask. What's up? Dude's like, nope, see you later. You know, these people are wackadoos. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's all these right-wing medias and Facebook and Fox News and OANN and all that, at least in the United States. But what would possess somebody not to listen to scientists and doctors and listen to politicians and ex-celebrity reality TV show hosts over, sound information. That blows my mind.
Well, I mean, look at not only is this the year of Corona, it's the year of the Karen. I mean, some of the shit that people are insisting that they have this quote-unquote right to is insane. There's no other word for it. It's insane. You have no idea what you're talking about. Just shut the fuck up. Either follow the rules or go away.
I'm sure conservatives in Canada are the same, but Republicans in the U.S., they believe in property rights. They believe in capitalism. Yep. And they're going into stores who can refuse service to anybody. And they're like, you got to let me come in and infect whoever I choose to. You got to let me come in and endanger people's life for my freedom. But let you know what I mean? Some black dude go in there and mouth off. It's like, how dare him? What does he think? Who does he think he is? It's these same people. They're so one-sided. It's insane.
This is it exactly. Like, it's just like all these people on social media and, everywhere else that insist they're constitutionalists. Really? Have you ever fucking read it? Because 95% of the bullshit out there that's supposedly constitutional, there's either a very plain answer for it in said constitution, or it just doesn't apply. Period. Like, you're nuts. It's just like saying that you can't stop making a certain chocolate bar because of my constitutional rights. That's about as much sense as most of this other Karen bullshit going on right now.
Yeah, if the chocolate bar was poison.
No, just, a brand. I've been eating that brand since I'm a kid. Oh, nobody buys them anymore.
This could kill people, literally. What they're doing, I mean, they could literally kill somebody. They breathe. I mean, this one woman was screaming and smashing people's stuff. And I'm like, what if she doesn't infect these people, but one of them is asymptomatic and takes it home to somebody older or ill or something, and that person dies? That's just, they don't care. If it doesn't affect them, they don't care.
Yeah, that's true. But what I meant by my comparison to the chocolate bar is the degree of constitutionality in what you're claiming is the same.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not even zero. It's a negative number. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. If you couldn't go into a building owned by the government, well, then possibly, if you made enough noise, something might be done about it. If I was the government, I'd just say, well, fine, then we're closing the fucking building. There, how's that? So, but yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. I see these beaches in the U.S. packed with people, and they just, I don't know what it is, man. They just pretend it's not real, I guess.
To a lot of people, it's not real because they don't know anyone personally affected by it. And that's all they care about. If it doesn't affect them, it doesn't matter. That's how selfish these people are.
Well, I think that that theory is going to get a very serious test. I mean, you look back to the influenza outbreak a century ago. The first wave woke everybody up, and then, shit, things are fine. The second wave was, 3 to 4 times bigger than the first wave.
I'm worried about flu season. The flu with this is just going to be miserable for healthy people and devastating and deadly for people that are compromised or elderly.
Well, I mean, not
The
only
flu
do
by
we...
itself, what?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the flu by itself is a horrible thing. Just compounded with this, it's scary. It's really scary. That's all I was going to say.
Well, I think, not only have we got this entire narrative about more freedoms, which is basically, if, this is just what I see, that's trailer trash middle America. That's their focus, more freedoms. But then when you go further up the East Coast, or you go out to the West Coast, then it's this thing about the economy, quote unquote. And, back in March, I said, this entire thing is going to go down based on revenue, not public health. And unfortunately, I see nothing to change my mind on that yet. And if it's not young drunks that just want to go party because they haven't been able to party for a couple months, oh my God, what an insult to your infantile existence. But this thing about the economy, this is got way more appeal, and it's got way stronger legs than this my freedoms bullshit. Because, there will be businesses like Costco. It's like, yeah, that's great, but get the fuck out of our store. That's it. End of story. And that's cool, it's their right. That's their right. And people don't understand that private property doesn't have to comply with the Bill of Rights. But, whatever. But this thing about the economy, this has been the backstop of all the anti-lockdown protests in Canada, except they don't really talk about the economy. They talk about a lot of other things.
Most of these people don't own stocks that are protesting it. They're not corporate CEOs. They're not going to really benefit from the economy getting picked up, especially if they lost their job and they're not going to get it back.
Well, isn't this the same old carrot on the stick that has been going on forever? It's like, well,
I'm just making a point.
Yeah, no, I agree.
A lot of people right now are making more money on unemployment than they are working. That should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
If your people aren't making as much working as they are on unemployment with the stimulus, then you're a fucked up company.
Yep.
That's one of their complaints about the economy is if people get free money too long, they're not going to want to come back to work. You know what? They would love to come back to work if you paid them right.
That's right.
But why would anyone want to go anywhere and waste 8 hours of their day and make less money than they make getting their taxes back given to them? That money's they're not people's to begin with. It doesn't belong to the government. It doesn't belong to the wealthy. It belongs to us. The wealthy don't even pay taxes.
And the other factor in that is that point of view from quote unquote business completely ignores the health side of the risk from the virus. That's the thing. They're just simply disconnecting what caused this from their whining for an end to the lockdowns. It's like they don't even want to talk about why the lockdowns happened. They just want them to end, and this is why they should end. There's no mention at all.
A lot of them in this country believe the lockdowns happened because the Democrats wanted to stick it to Trump and make it harder for him to have rallies and stuff. Really, they say this shit. I'm not making this up. It sounds wacky. It sounds like a spoof, but it's not. That's what people are really saying. As a matter of fact, Eric Trump Trump's son went on, I think it was Fox News, and basically said the Democrats are going to milk this for all it's worth, so my father can't go out and hold his big Klan rallies all across the United States. I was like, wow. These people believe anything these people tell them.
Yes.
Anything with the last name Trump speaks. He's got a bunch of little groupie cult members. Oh, it's fact. It's gospel. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a unique characteristic for your country at the moment. Anyway, I mean, it may be closer to reality other places, but as always, America leads the world.
There's always been scam artists, confidence men, snake oil salespeople all through history, and sometimes they hold bigger positions in society than others, I guess, right?
Yep. But I mean, as far as how you worded this topic, you know, there's just so many things that are exposing so many generally held viewpoints by society in general that have to go. You know, like this thing about haircuts and getting your nails done and things that require personal physical contact. There's no way to get your hair cut without somebody having their hands all over your head. That's the way it works. So these people that think that they simply can't catch it, I guess, they demand that other people accept that risk as well because they want a service. This is insane.
If those people would just cover themselves... Wait, what?
Like, where did this come from? This entitlement from everyday people now.
Well, it's because if the other people would just cover themselves in Jesus' blood too, then they'd be okay.
Oh,
why don't they get that?
Oh my God, there's just so many fucking angles to what goes on in your country, man. It's...
Yeah, you want to move to the next topic, which is still basically the same topic with guns?
No, I just want to say, you know, it doesn't matter how many factors you bring out about something that's whacked in the U.S., there's always a way for the stupid to sneak back in on it. There's just no way to fucking lock it all out. But one more thing I will say about these anti-lockdown protests. In Canada, most of the news reports, and they're getting a fair amount, more all the time, which certainly helps get more idiots out, they say that the protests are about the economy. But the organizers of the protests have themselves claimed to be speaking out on behalf of, quote unquote, business owners. But what is actually happening at the rallies? Well, there's a few different gangs that are showing up. They're turning into big anti-vaccine demonstrations. They're turning into 5G truther protests. There are flat earthers showing up at these protests. And then, of course, there's the Canadian yellow vesters, who, of course, showed up in 2018 when they stole the yellow vest from the true Gilets jaunes in France, who are Antifa. And it's a bunch of conservative, misogynist, racist bastards who wear them in Canada and use the same name.
Didn't some incel in Canada just murder some woman?
Yes, there was a murder of a sex worker at a parlor in Toronto. Police are saying this is the first incident that they are going to officially charge under terrorism, and they're calling it incel terrorism, if you can believe that.
Terrorism is terrorism. State terrorism is terrorism. So, yeah. Why label it? Just call it terrorism.
Well, I'm okay with that. And then, of course, the other group that's showing up because there's pissed off white people getting together actual neo-Nazis and white supremacist groups. So all these protests are doing, because, reasonable people aren't going to a protest right now with a bunch of habitual drinking people screaming, is because, normal people say, fuck that shit. I ain't going anywhere near that. Like we're seeing in the States, all these churches in Florida and Georgia that, oh yeah, Jesus saves. Look how many of them now have it. How many ministers have already died from COVID in the US?
In their own defense, God works in mysterious ways. We don't understand him, and it's his will.
Well, good for him. How's that? For once, yay, God. Rarely will I ever say that.
I'm gonna tell you what I think they should do real quick, and this kind of relates to the next topic. They should let Trump have MAGA rallies, and they should bus people in. And when they do, once you go to the rally, you're locked in for 15 days. You can't leave. Only Trump can leave. I think that would be cool. See how much people really want to see Trump. Will they quarantine themselves for 2 weeks in a big stadium to see him? We can see how cultish these people really are. I bet you a lot of people would do it.
And they have to agree to it before it all starts, right?
And another thing is, how come Trump rallies hate the Second Amendment? That should tell you something right there. He can't be trusted. He doesn't like the Second Amendment. He won't let you bring your guns to his rallies? Come on, man. They don't believe in the shit they say they believe in. That's the problem. But yeah, you want to move on?
Alrighty.
Okay, we have previously predicted on this very show that the closer it gets to election time, the more these Trump supporters will start acting up and committing even more acts of violence and terror. Now, white supremacists, Nazis, MAGAs, and racist conspiracy theorists are holding armed protests at state capitals, threatening both police and politicians, and nothing's being done to stop them. Why aren't the NRA and conservative lawmakers working to pass legislation like the Mulford Act in various states to stop this madness?
That is a very good question.
Should we give a brief what the Mulford Act is for anybody that doesn't know?
Yes.
Okay. The Mulford Act is an act, well, I believe it was in 1967. The Black Panthers went to the state capitol in Sacramento, California, armed with rifles and weapons, and they were not being violent. They just said that as black people, nobody cares what they have to say. When they show up with guns, everybody wants to hear what they have to say. They just wanted their voices to be heard. Ronald Reagan, who was the governor at the time, ultra-conservative Republican hero Ronald Reagan, and the NRA, same NRA they have today, National Rifle Association, they petitioned, and Ronald Reagan signed the Mulford Act into existence, which is a no open carry law. Like all these conservatives talk so much crap about California's gun laws, and they make it seem like the liberals or Democrats did this. They were the ones that did this because they were so terrified of black people having guns at a state capitol.
Yep.
They even lied under oath to make it seem like they were threatened when they were not. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. So the thing is, now you got a bunch even more white people showing up with guns in the same fashion, and people are like, oh yeah, that's their Second Amendment rights. Bravo. They're screaming at cops. What happened to Blue Lives Matter? These people are such hypocrites. That's the thing. At least I'm honest about my cop hating. I'm not going to go hug a cop off camera,
Yeah.
These people love the police, have the Blue Lives racist logo on their cars, and they're in a cop's face screaming at him what crap he is for somehow violating their rights to not have to wear a mask and not have to social distance, and not, anti-lockdown, whatever it is.
Well, I mean, nothing makes sense. I think the issue, not only because it was the Panthers who did it, I mean, the other factor is politically, no, did anybody say a word about the Mulford Act besides other brothers? Did a single white person with any voice, did they come out against the Mulford Act? Did they say how ridiculous this is? No. So, I mean, it was a very easy sell because it was the 60s in California. But it's lasted to now. I mean, it's this thing about, is Jim Crow really gone?
Nope.
Who wants to talk about that? Nobody with any voice. But the thing about, like in Michigan, I really don't understand how that was allowed to go on like that. I really don't. I just don't get it. There's nothing anywhere in U.S. law or document that says the government has to put up with that. But you, like you said, nobody did a thing. The only thing that even comes close to me is when the Tea Party started in Wisconsin and Minnesota. When they got away with it, I think that changed all the rules for good. But I guess this really is 2020 Tea Party. They're all armed now.
Yeah, did you notice that some of them were walking around with replicas of guns that are highly illegal?
Yep.
Like one of them had like a rocket launcher, one of them had a big, giant, huge, I don't even know what it was, some kind of machine gun thing. And these were detailed replicas. Like, what's the point? Like, you can carry that all day, any day. It's not a real gun. People look at you funny. You might get questioned, and the cops look at it and say, "You're a white guy. We're not even going to be threatened. We're just going to walk over and say, nice replica." But what's the point of that? These are the same people that call cats like Black Bloc. They're called a bunch of LARPers. You're walking around with Captain America logos on and a fake gun strapped to your back, you idiot. Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I don't know what it is, man. If it's
where I see that shit?
Where?
Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's cosplay. That's what it is.
A bunch of cats with fake guns. Like, what's the point? What are you trying to prove? Like, what? Like, you're a joke.
Okay, well, see, now I got the other side of that coin. In a place I used to live, a city of 80,000, their police department is pretty much known as fucking assholes. And that's by everybody. But they are very brutal on the indigenous population and anybody on the streets. They're just pricks. That's all there is to it. And on May the 4th, the big Star Wars Day, there is a Star Wars themed restaurant in this city. And the owner asked one of his employees, a 17-year-old girl, if she would put on a stormtrooper costume.
I saw that.
And this was it was an armed takedown of this girl who had a replica rifle, just like a stormtrooper in Star Wars.
Yeah, it was a laser gun rifle. Like, it doesn't. Come on, man. I saw that video. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, this is just fucking insane.
Like, how dumb are your cops? There's no such thing as a laser gun in real life that people have. I mean, the military might have something. I don't know, but I'm saying, like, trust me. I see cats with guns on the streets all the time. Nobody has laser guns, not even the police. Canada might be different. People might be laser blasting people all day. Like, there might be laser drive-by shootings and crazy shit, but here in the United States, we don't have that technology in the hands of the average person. What was wrong with them pigs, man? What were they thinking?
I have no idea.
Don't they know what she was dressed as? I mean, really?
Well, the popular opinion in that town on the street is that they got the opportunity to play, RoboCop. And, they can just say, well, we got sent here. That was the code. The code was, weapons complaint.
Okay, you get a call. Let's just put yourself in the cop's shoes. Everyone knows what Star Wars is. Everyone knows what a stormtrooper is.
And it's May the 4th.
And it's May the 4th. So here's some people might not know about that. They're not a fan or whatever, but they definitely know the characters from, a stormtrooper is. You get a call, there's an armed person in body armor with a machine gun on the street. You zip up and pull up, ready to go crazy, and you see someone dressed as a stormtrooper. I think right then and there, you're like, you know what? This call was some BS. We're going to just move along. You look awesome. Have a nice day. You know what I mean?
Well, that should be what happened, but not in that city. That just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, we're going to talk about pigs next. But let's wrap up this gun thing with the armed racist protests or whatever they are.
I mean, I don't understand why nothing is being done. I don't give a shit what race they are, anything. That is just that's not part of a democracy. I mean, people always laugh and point fingers when, like, in Taiwan or Korea, they have, like, brawls in what you would call your house. Like, they have brawls, man. And people say, oh, my God, look at that. Like, oh, what a terrible place for a government like that. Look what the fuck's happening in your own backyard. You want to talk about who's got the real issues? I mean, if this keeps up, how long before it happens? Right?
Yeah, one of them psychos going to squeeze the trigger on something.
Yep.
And I just hope he hits a cop or a white supremacist.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is just like being out in the Nam in the bush. As soon as you hear a round go off, that's it. Everybody's shooting.
You know what someone said on Twitter? They said these protesters don't believe they believe Jesus will keep them safe from the virus. Why can't he keep them safe? Like, why do they need I don't remember how he said it, but it was an awesome quote. But basically, if Jesus can keep them safe from the virus, why do they need all the guns?
No, that's true. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I screwed up the quote really bad, and I can't remember it. And
no, but
it's way down my timeline. I'm not going to find it in enough time to make it seem timely. So yeah, anything else on this? It's just insane, man. And I think it's going to get worse and worse before the election, up to the election.
Well, the other factor that, you have to connect some dots, but it's definitely there. When you have the person who is sitting in the Oval Office sending out tweets that is inciting this behavior in state capitals. I mean, this, and people talk about how bad something like communism is. What do you think somebody like Stalin did all the time? The exact same shit.
Yeah.
The exact same shit. Ask the people in Odessa. Ask the people in Belarus. Ask the people in Hungary how the bigger government reacts when you do something they're not down with. So this is just bad. It's really, really bad. And it's not, unless there is some sort of statement by somebody who matters to these whack-doodles, or if it takes them opening fire on themselves outside, I mean, that's not impossible. But I think it's going to have to be some death before this stops.
I'm rooting for them to go to war with the police. Man,
how many of them are police?
But they need to go to war with the police because that will make our enemies weaker and their numbers will be less. They'll be wiping each other out. You just sit back and watch and enjoy it. I don't think that's going to be the case, but maybe you'll get a few, cool little battles between the police and the ultra-white supremacists. But I think the numbers is what you have to look at. They love to gloat that 60 million Americans voted for Trump. 60 million Americans can't be wrong. And that's not even half, you know what I mean? And those aren't all the people with guns and weapons. And all those people that voted for Trump aren't ultra, MAGA, show up to his rallies supporters.
Yeah.
And out of the ones that are, only a small portion of them are really about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's not going to be like they think. It's not going to be like 60 million people even going to war with the rest of the country and winning because they have all the weaponry. It's not the case. There's a lot of people that aren't Republicans or Democrats that have a lot of weapons. And there's probably Democrats that have some weapons too. And most people hate racist assholes and bigotry. I just think it's not going to be as easy as they think. That a lot of people think, oh, they're the ones with all the guns and they have all these numbers and Trump's leading them, and they're not about it like you think. I was explaining this on Twitter a day or two ago. These are the same people that won't show up in their own neighborhoods when there's a protest going on, but they'll come later and attack older ladies and kids and catch people slipping by themselves when they're in groups. But they don't take on a big group that outnumbers them or even an equal group.
Well,
they'll put weapons rather than fight. They'll call the police. It's just, most of them are pretty cowardly. Go ahead, sorry.
I think some of the history from Seattle and Portland and New York shows the reality in that situation. I mean, you look at something like Charlottesville, well, they just weren't prepared. They had no idea what was coming. But then for some of the events, say 6 months later, oh yeah, we're going to kick Antifa's ass. Yeah, fuck, come on down. And in the cities where Antifa did show up, those little pricks did nothing. They just basically tried to sneak out of town most of the time.
Yeah, there's a video of them running from some little kids in a parking garage. That was the best.
But I mean, again, all it takes is somebody who uses this as an excuse because they have another beef, or, that's always the random factor, right? I mean, this dude in Nova Scotia, Canada's #1 mass killer now, 33 people.
Yeah.
He had a fake cop car and a real cop uniform.
Oh, I didn't know it was a real cop uniform. I thought he made everything to look like the cops.
No, apparently it's a legitimate uniform. So there's a lot of questions to be asked out of this that are coming. But, this guy was in what looked like the only thing you could tell the cop car was bogus is because the unit number didn't exist. That's the only thing. Everything else was legitimate.
All the have government plates. Our cops have like exempt plates, they're called, which are like government plates.
They haven't said anything about the plate.
Oh.
Which is interesting. But, a lot of the people this guy killed, he's in a cop car, he's a cop. He pulled them over and executed them.
Yeah.
And there's just, how do you predict? How do you know when this guy's going to snap? You don't. It's his choice. So
you want to hear something fucked up?
What?
In the United States, that could be a real cop and you might get murdered. It doesn't have to be someone pretending. They're already psychos.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I mean, I'm just saying, when there's wild shit going on, wild people tend to get creative.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that the picture of these yahoos showing up to the state capitol armed like that is just not something that needs to be put out there.
Yeah, they caught one of them. They caught one of them with a bunch of pipe bombs planning some attacks or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. Is he the only one in this shit in the country? Puh, I doubt it.
No. What I wasn't saying, I'm saying there's a group of them, but it's a smaller group than the people you see out there on TV, which is already a small group. They're showing up in so many numbers right now because they're not opposed, because no self-respecting or no person who doesn't want to get ill or make others sick is going to go out and oppose them right now. I mean, there's a few people, but it's just like, why am I going to go all these people coughing and not wearing masks and sick, and they're celebrating a virus? Well, I don't want to go out there and oppose them. Let them stand on the street corner by themselves. There's not even any people out. They're the only people that's out, them and the pigs. Let them all infect each other.
And the media.
That's on the media.
That's the thing too. These idiots are these idiots are getting way more attention than they deserve.
We talked about that before, like a year or two ago, how at the Trump rallies, the media would go and just love it. As soon as somebody with a Trump thing shows up, they all up on them, all the news crews. There's cats masked up waiting to whoop their ass. The media don't want to talk to them, probably because they don't want to talk to the media either. So it kind of works out. But yeah, the media just fawns over the Trump hat people. That Latina for Trump woman did a photo op, and the media was all over her, shooting her, giving her exactly what she wanted.
Yep, that's true. I mean, but like you said in the topic, the closer it gets to election, the more things will heat up. Well, okay, so now we're having yahoos with semi-automatic rifles showing up to state capitals while the legislature is sitting. It's not like summertime, it's tourist time. They're actually there working, and these people are showing up. So what do you think is next? What's going to be the next outrage? Or does something happen to slow it down?
Whatever right-wing media tells them. It could be anything. Like you said, it could be Bill Gates, 5G, coronavirus, military forced injection. I don't know. They're crazy. They're insane.
Do you think there's any possibility that probably it would have to be a more urban area, like not like Lansing, Michigan, or Ann Arbor, Michigan, or Madison, Wisconsin, but like some of the other state capitals with a lot more population? Do you see anything like this possible there? Like, say, in Albany, New York, or in Sacramento, or in Austin? Do you see this happening anywhere else?
Not armed in Sacramento, because it's illegal. If they do and get away with it, that would be like the most, I don't even know, racist thing I could think of. Because there's specific laws made from people doing that. If they let a bunch of white supremacists do it against the law and get away with it, that would be real fucked up. But I don't know the gun laws in New York. But I don't think people are allowed to open carry. So I doubt they would be doing it there either. I could be wrong, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
When I was in New York, I didn't see a lot of people with guns on them that weren't like cops.
Yeah, I guess I should quantify that better. Yeah, I guess really looking at open carry states only. Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
what if it happened in Arizona?
that seems plausible. And that would be even
Wow.
weirder because didn't some wacko shoot a congresswoman there or something? Well, what's her
Yeah,
name? I
Gabby
can't think.
Giffords.
Yep, yep, yep. Um, I don't know.
So,
I
you
just
know,
it seems plausible, especially somewhere like Arizona where there's a lot of those kind of people already. Texas, Arizona, places like that. Definitely down in the southern states.
I mean, looking at it in a different direction, I mean, look at the 60s and the federal action on human rights, because the states proved that they would do absolutely nothing. You know, mostly started by the Kennedy administration and finished by Johnson. Look how many things had to happen and get enough attention. You know what I mean? But you know, something had to be done. Well, you know, it's still not
Yeah,
enough to this day, but I mean, things did make a big movement for what everybody was used to, and it was the feds who enforced it. So now you've got a White House who's encouraging terrorism instead of doing something to prevent it. So, you know, this is what I mean. Like, how can you predict anything?
the White House is encouraging domestic terrorism this time. That's the difference, and they've probably done it before in history. I'm sure they have, but usually they, ship their terrorism overseas. But the White House has always been a terrorist institution.
Oh, I agree with that. But like you said, this is domestic. This is, again,
It's not exported terrorism.
I have to compare it to Stalin. Because, you know, Stalin's famous for killing millions of Russians and Soviets because they weren't the right kind of Soviet. So
Yeah,
that's what this looks like to me, you know?
definitely. I
Insane.
tweeted that I didn't know which presidency would be better if Biden or Trump won for the people. Because like Trump's gonna do terrible fascist shit. He's a warmonger. He's gonna have kids in cages. He's gonna have families in cages. He's gonna just pass legislation that hurts poor people, racist legislation. But if Biden comes in, he'll do the same. But Trump, the difference is Trump. If people hate him, so there's a chance that people will eventually revolt if it affects enough people adversely for long enough or fast enough. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They might revolt. With Biden, they're gonna basically support what he does and praise him for whatever he does, and he'll do it in a different way. But he's still gonna do the same shit. There's still gonna be families in cages. The kids may not be separated, but I don't think that'll change. But let's say, so what? There's still kids in cages with their parents. There shouldn't be their parents or them shouldn't be in cages. People deserve to go where they need to go and want to go. People should be able to escape terrible situations, especially if the place they're going to is the country that caused that terrible situation in the first place. They should extra be welcome there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Doesn't make
Oh,
any
yeah.
sense.
Oh, yeah. You've heard that numerous times about Syrian refugees and Europe.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, you know, if you guys wouldn't have been fucking around over here for the last 35, 40 years, then, you know, maybe shit wouldn't be so ridiculous right now. But, yeah, I know what you're saying for sure. I mean, there's always, well, especially now, the way politics is a product to be consumed, the biggest thing about when Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister in Canada, he defeated Emperor Harper.
Yeah.
And he got a free pass for like 18 months because he beat Harper. It didn't matter what they did or didn't do. Nobody cared. Harper's not Prime Minister anymore. This is fucking great. And anybody who beats Trump is going to get that same sort of break. And it'll go on as long as the media lets it go on. So, not much will really change, but it'll sure sound and look different. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And, will anything else really change? Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
I wonder who and how his cult members will cling to their next racist hero after he's gone, or create some kind of racist movement like the Tea Party 3.0 or something. I don't know. But you want to move on since we're already speaking about state terror?
All
right. We've all seen the horrific video of Ahmaud Arbery getting chased down and lynched by an ex-Georgia pig and his racist son. We've all heard by now about Breonna Taylor getting murdered in her apartment by pigs who were doing a no-knock raid at the wrong address in Louisville, Kentucky. We've heard of my friend Freddie Brown, who was unarmed and murdered by pigs in Las Vegas. We've all seen video after video after video of police murders and brutality on unarmed, mostly black and Latino innocent civilians. Are police brutality and murders once again escalating in the U.S.? Because it sure seems like it.
Well, I would have to say from my perspective outside the U.S., yes, it's getting worse again.
It picks up every so often.
It seems to. And this is a problem when you don't have general compliance about things like the lockdown or self-isolation. Sooner or later, you have to get authority involved. And, let's face it, there's a lot of police departments that see this as a license to do whatever the fuck they want for a while.
Yeah. But there's also this other thing. Like, if you noticed, there's a popular video of this girl screaming in the police face, all these people, and that was in California. For the anti-lockdown protest or whatever. And the police just stood there and, they shouted some orders or whatever, but they didn't do anything. I think they arrested one dude maybe. But the thing is, then you got police brutalizing black dudes for playing basketball, beating them, socking them. You got police beating some Mexican dude for being on in a front yard of a house that wasn't his or something, beating him senseless. You got police murdering people, like ridiculous, just shooting people dead for no reason, unloading clips into people. A guy with a baseball bat, a black dude with a baseball bat in a Walmart, I believe, or a Target or something. He gets shot down dead, and then you
in
got
the
a
back.
video. Yeah, and then you got executed point blank on the ground.
Yep.
Then you got video of a white dude with a gun walking around yelling at the police, and they're like, "Come on, brother, we're here to help you. Don't do it. Don't make us do it for 3 to 5 minutes."
Yep.
It's definitely a different justice system depending on who they're there for. And they murdered a person with a sword. They murdered Fred Brown in Vegas. Supposedly there was an altercation and he had a cop in a chokehold. Supposedly, that's the official cop story. And then they shot him dead. No weapon, no nothing. Just murdered him. For what? For a fight?
Yeah, it's extremely arbitrary.
Man, and they just like look at that ex-cop and his son. They hunted that dude down and murdered him.
Yep.
Ahmed Arbery. And now what they're doing on all the media, they're showing he was in a park rapping by himself, writing lyrics, just trying to ease his mind after work, like he says he does most days. And the police come start messing with him, try to tase him, and luckily the taser did malfunction or something. He didn't do anything. You're just standing there. And they're using this like, look, he's already had run-ins with the police.
Yeah, he was born black.
Yeah, and then they have another video showing him walking around in the place. The problem is, the video also shows a whole bunch of other people walking around in this house they're building or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Evidently, that's a thing people do. I didn't know this.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just trying to make it seem these are white supremacists, hunted him down and murdered him. The sister of the son of the ex-cop and the sister of the dude who killed him. The dudes who killed him, she took a picture of his body and released it.
Well, it's
just like a lynching, a modern day lynching.
Yeah.
Pictures and all.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, black on black violence, this and that. There's all signs of murders all the time. Why you care about these? It's because if this video didn't come out, they wouldn't have gotten arrested. This has gone 60 days, I think, before they got arrested. He's an ex-cop. Cops don't get arrested. If a gangster guns you down and gets caught, he's going to get arrested. He's going to get a long time probably. Locked in a cage. He might even get the death sentence depending on the circumstances in the state, right?
Yeah.
A cop does the exact same thing. He gets a 2-week paid vacation and gets rewarded a year later with some kind of bullshit award. Commended or whatever,
Yeah.
It's garbage. People are upset because they're going to get away with it. George Zimmerman didn't go to prison. He murdered a dude in cold blood. Same kind of thing like this, man. A dude has a gun on him. What's he supposed to do? He can't run. He's got to fight. And then they take the reason he's fighting these crazy dudes with guns, hunting him down, stalking him. Oh, look how violent he was. He was fighting with the... Of course he was fighting. He was fighting for his life.
Yep.
What are you going to do? If someone's right there with a gun, you can't run because a gun has range. Only option is to fight. And then they take the fact that you fought for your life offensively. Defensively, when these people are offensively coming after you, and they say, "Oh, look how violent he was. He was fighting these people with guns." Of course he was.
Well, I mean, whether enough Americans would admit it or not, change the race of the man being stalked and murdered, and everything else changes along with it. It's not he's fighting them. It's look at him trying to defend himself.
Bravely fighting for his life to his last breath.
Yep. That's it right there, man. That's it right there. There's no way to avoid this. This is all about race. It is.
Yeah, race and economic status along with race.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this has happened before in history too. When did crime suddenly begin to come? When did crime start to become such a problem in the Roman Empire? When there were too many idle people with no way to support themselves. That's when crime took off. It always does. I mean, fuck, if people have a job, fuck that. I don't have to go out and try and rip somebody off. I don't need to pack. I got a job now. I can relax a little bit. Isn't that the natural human reaction? You know, it's like, yeah, I got a job now. Now I can keep fucking ripping off purses and double my income. Who does that?
Yeah, but billionaire on society crime still exists.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. See, again, there you go. At the other end of the scale, you're expected to do that.
Yeah, you know that Bezos dude is going to be the world's first trillionaire.
I can't even fucking comprehend that. That is a million.
You know what? Glenn, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you dropped out for a second on my end. No, somebody needs to make a really, really nice gold-plated, diamond-encrusted guillotine for that occasion. It's got to be nice, man. Like, I was thinking lasers would be awesome, but let's be realistic. Just something really nice.
Platinum blade.
Yeah, something really nice for him. And get some, like, 8K cameras, you know. Really nice cameras to get.
VR.
Oh, I guess nobody can hear us right now.
Really?
He says, you guys dropped to me.
Well,
Well,
can you hear
it
us
still
now?
looks like it's going, so
Yeah,
we might as
it's
well
live.
keep going. Yeah, it looks like it's live. I don't know. Anyway, if anyone can hear us. Yeah, this is just, it's been out of hand, and eventually,
Oh,
he can
yeah,
hear us
we're
now.
back.
Okay, well, it's been out of hand. It's going to get more out of hand, as I keep saying, as they keep militarizing and funding these police throughout the country, giving them unlimited power to do what they want, including murder people and get away with it. They have a lot of blind, stupid assholes that support them no matter what they do. And I don't know, man. It's I
not
don't know if
good.
it's possible to pass legislation against them, because neither party wants to go against them. Nobody's going to say, oh, we want to vote against the police. I mean, the majority of people think they're a great, important thing in the community. Most people are ignorant when it comes to what they do. Most people don't pay attention unless something hits the main headlines, you know?
Yeah. But I think the bigger problem is how and why are you making so many people enter this, shall we call it, demographic? Why are you letting a quote-unquote economy bankrupt more and more people all the time, throw people out on the street, and just look at the statistics?
People to go and force them, you know, call living a crime.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's going to take people fighting back, man. Like I said, it can't be done with legislation. Both parties support the police. Every president supports the police. When police killed black people, even Obama said, let's wait and see both sides.
Yeah.
Let's hear all sides of the thing. You know what I mean? Don't jump to conclusions. So yeah, nobody in politics gives a damn. And if they do, they're not doing anything about it. I mean, Joe Biden authored the Clinton crime bill. Trump is a racist policies we've all seen nonstop. That's what your next option is, a racist or a racist. You think that either one of them cares about this?
That's true.
Doesn't affect them. Police can murder all the unarmed black people in the world. It wouldn't affect either one of them. It's disgusting. It's sickening. It needs to stop. And like I said, unfortunately, people are gonna have to fight back. These cops gonna be socking on somebody, and somebody gonna walk up and blow one of their heads off. You know, stuff like that's gonna be more and more common. There's no other option. People are gonna have to jump on the cops and fight back eventually. Whole neighborhoods.
Well,
I mean, what else can you do? That nothing's done. They can just brutalize, murder people, get off their back in the same neighborhood, on the same streets again. They don't give a damn. There's murderers driving around on the streets with badges and guns looking to kill again. If you want to be a serial killer, that's the best way to do it. Be a cop. You get away with at least 9 or 10 of them.
Or a rapist. Oh
yeah. Did you see the little meme people are doing? It's like 40% of police officers across the United States are now donating 50% of their pay to help coronavirus victims, or 50% of police officers around the United States are coming together to denounce their treatment of black people or something. Like all these really nice things. And then at the bottom it says, just Google 40% of cops to find out. And when you Google 40% of cops, it's like 40% of cops beat their wives or are domestic violent, or, you know what I mean, toward their partners or whatever.
Well, that's a good sting.
I like that. I've seen it done a few different ways so far. It's hilarious.
Well, I mean, you know,
it's not hilarious because it's true, but I mean, and it's sad and it's sick, but I mean, at the same time, it's hilarious how they trolling like that to get people to get that information.
Well, political power can get a lot of things done, but one enemy you don't want is law enforcement. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's the risk management is not favorable. Let's put it that way. You know, I mean, look at a place like New York. The last thing the mayor of New York ever wants to do is have the head of the NYPD unions come out and say, this guy's got to go. If that ever happens, the mayor's done. That's all there is to it.
Don't they do it now?
Well, I mean, you just make sure that you don't push them to that point. You listen to them. You assist them. And that's why NYPD is NYPD. You know?
They're really shitty there. I don't even live there. I don't know how shitty they are. Like, I live in LA, so I expect to know what they do here. But NYPD, I know about. They have a reputation for being horrible. I mean, and we pay their salaries, man. They work for us. This shouldn't be this way. That's the thing. You vote for these politicians who don't have your best interest at heart.
Oh yeah.
You know, Pelosi, McConnell, Trump, Biden, they're all the same. Especially in the way that none of them give a fuck about us. And I'm sure it's the same with Trudeau and everyone in Canada as well, or a lot of people. And around the world, like politicians don't give a fuck about the people. They give a fuck about staying in power, getting paid, grifting off the people's wealth. But no, they're just fucking scum.
Yeah, the ones that are, I guess you could say in some form legitimate, are few and far between. I mean, right now, if I had to pick one world leader of a democracy where I would live, I would pick New Zealand. I mean, that Prime Minister Ardern has been unlike any other democratically elected leader in the first world. They just, they don't seem to have a problem getting things done that people are happy with, because there's simply no games.
Yeah.
But then, it's a small, isolated country, and that's the way they like it. So, it's fine, but I mean, human nature being what it is, there's greedy motherfuckers everywhere. Doesn't matter where or anything else. It's part of human nature, but there's very few. I mean, you're saying that, and I thought about, look at the difference for that short period of time in a place like the Philippines when Cory Aquino was in after Marcos.
Yeah.
Things got so much better. And now look where they are. So, it's so rare. And by no means...
Trump idolizes Duterte.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane to me.
Well, it tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, wow. That dude's a menace.
He's a flat out fascist. That's
Yeah.
all there is to it. You know, he's like Mussolini. He's just, yeah, this is the game. Fuck you. Yeah, something else, man.
I mean, he's murdering people, his own citizens, and Trump's like, what a great guy. I guess you could say the same with Erdogan and you know, committing genocide and other people. The U.S. has
Bolsonaro.
always done business and been allies with some really terrible terroristic states because we, or the U.S., I have nothing to do with it, is a terrible terroristic state. And like that saying says, birds of a feather flock together, right?
Yep.
Man, fuck all these country ruler government motherfuckers.
Do you think there's anything that can be done about rising homicides by law enforcement, especially against people of color, especially against unarmed people of color? Is there anything that can be done that's doable? I'm not talking legislation. Is there a way for some media outlets to suddenly decide, you know what? Things are really slow. Let's be the first ones to actually pretend we want answers. You know what I mean? Is there going to be, like, say, KTLA? Are they suddenly going to put their investigative team on, say, the last 5 or 10 questionable homicides by LAPD just for ratings?
That would be nice, but I doubt it. You know, because ultimately the police are here to protect the property of the corporations who pay the media.
Yeah.
so, you know, there's kind of that little
Caveat.
conflict of interest there, I think. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff that could be done. It's just that it won't be done.
Yeah.
Like you could just simply punish the cops to the point where they don't feel like reaching for their gun is the first thing to do when some guy has a knife at 20 feet away from them.
Yeah.
Or a baseball bat walking away or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the person's not lethal. He might knock one of us out or cut one of us. That's like the worst case. We don't have to blow him away. We could just stand back for a minute, make sure the people are safe. We have batons, we have shields, we have tasers, we got pepper spray, we got beanbag balls. Now they got that wire barbed shit that wraps around people. They got all kinds of options.
Yeah.
They don't got to run to their guns. But take you know, when they murder somebody, we've said all this before, there's nothing new. But when they murder somebody, we pay for it.
Yes.
When the civil suit comes, we pay for that. We're paying for the cop's defense in most times. You know what I mean? We're paying for everything to be done to protect this cop. It's coming out of our tax dollars. And then, like I said, when the civil suit goes and the people get the little bit of money for losing a loved one, we pay for that too. They should take it from the police pensions. It should totally financially break the specific officer or the department. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not us. That's our money too, but still, take it out of their budgets. Let them be a nothing department with no cool toys because they have too many people getting murdered by their cops. And then, yeah, you know, prosecute these cops for murder. Lock them the hell away. And they say, oh, nobody want to be a cop then. Well, if you want to be a cop just so you can murder people and get away with it, then it's probably better those people don't be cops. You know?
Well, what kills me is rules of engagement for especially big city U.S. police forces. Like, a lot of the shit you see, like you said, a guy's got a knife 20 feet away. Well, fuck, shoot him. That shit is simply not allowed in Canada. You can't do that. It's not acceptable. The guy will be charged. It's just not acceptable to kill people like that.
Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's, I mean, I know the people that say, what about black on black violence, or what about this? They're racist, okay? But I'm saying it's such an easy argument to debunk and show what bullshit it is. Like I said before, if a black cat kills another black cat, he's going to go to prison. He's going to be punished. If a cop murders somebody, like I just said a few minutes ago as well, he's going to get a 2-week paid vacation, and he's going to probably get some kind of award the next year, or a promotion or something. And worst case, generally, there are times when they get arrested, like I think it's at 1% or less than 1%. Then they'll get a slap on the wrist and get transferred to another department, or maybe lose their job if we're lucky.
Yep.
And that shouldn't happen. If that didn't happen, like I said, it would just, if you can get away with something that you want to do without any repercussions, you're probably going to try to get away with it, right?
Well, the thing I say to people is, okay, so I'm an electrician. So let's say I do some shitty work and I kill somebody. They get electrocuted. Well, if it happened once, it would take a lot of effort to be able to walk. But say I did it again. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't just say, oh, well, I'm not an electrician anymore, and go move to a different part of the country, and hey, I'm an electrician. Who wants to hire me? This is what cops get away with in the worst case.
It would be the equivalent, though, of you being an electrician and wiring up a switch with the where someone's going to hit it and it's grounded, and they're gonna shock the living shit out of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And you keep doing it, and somebody dies, and then the electrician's union steps in and is like, no. He's perfectly justified the way he hooked that switch up with bare wires hanging out and everybody died. That's just that, and then we're going to get experts to come in and say why that's the proper way to do it. That's how sick it is, man. And then if something happens and you're still working, but they get a civil suit, taxpayers got to pay for it.
That's an excellent description. Yeah, that's insane. It's like, oh, I'm a pilot. Oh, I was drunk. I crashed a plane. Oh, well, I got fired. I'll just go work for this airline now. Like, forget it, man. Nobody gets away with that shit.
And a lot of times you work for the same airline.
Just out of a different airport. Yeah.
The chief of police is a murderer in L.A., Michael Moore. He's a murderer. He's the chief of fucking police, and he's a murderer. Figure that one out. So that tells you what they can aspire to be. If we kill people, we could be the chief of police. Like, it's really not a deterrent, I don't think.
Well, there's also that school of thought. It's like nobody really gives a fuck to hide anything anymore.
Yeah, this cop that beat the dude up, he's had all kinds of complaints and stuff. The one, and then they released the video on that one was amazing to me. The police released the video saying, look, you'll see. And when you watch the video, the dude's talking about, I'm going to fuck you up, cursing the cop out. But he has his hand behind his back. And then the cop's like, stop fighting, starts hitting him in the head. But dude wasn't fighting until he started getting hit. And he still didn't fight. It looked like he was just, defending himself. So the body camera actually showed a close-up of what we already saw, a terrible, brutal beating for no apparent reason other than the cop's ego got hurt.
Yeah.
And they're trying to justify that. They always try to find a way to justify it. That's the problem. That's where the media could do something. This is unjustifiable. But what happens is, I even shot a video about it when they killed this dude over here. They call all the media. They have the police press dudes show up. They have the whole scene wrapped up. They have the media waiting for a press conference. Then they give them their version of the story with no evidence.
Yeah.
And then if they can say the video made it look like they might be justified, they release a video. If not, they'll skim through the video and try to find any frame or two that can make it look like they can, take it out of context and look justified. No, then we don't release a video till we have to. That's how you know things. You know what I mean? If they're holding up the video, it's for a reason. It's because they're guilty as hell.
Well, I mean, it's just like when you filmed that shit at that service station that time when the cops killed that dude. And then here's the cops a couple hours later driving around looking to see where there's any cameras, any, perimeter or property defense cameras that might have got it, making a list. Fucking guys, man.
Yeah, to cover their murder.
Yep.
So, I mean, they have whole teams of investigators and crime scene specialists using our tax dollars to cover up this crime, this murder that this cop did as best possible. Get all the evidence and suppress it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what our tax dollars are paying for. When some random dude murders some other random person, they don't get our tax dollars to, they get a public defender. It's like, what are you going to plead to?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole nother world, man. These people are so far above the law. Dude, last night, I'm walking with all of us, like maybe 3 or 4 in the morning. I see this cop car. I'm like, I got all of it. I'm going to go see what's going on, right? So they're at this motel. This woman's out there basically running down every mental illness and problem she has, from sleepwalking to bipolar disorder. I shot the video, but I'm not going to release it because it's a woman talking about her medical history to the police. Like, who the hell are they that they need to know any of this? And then she did this terrible thing. She said, I don't do drugs. I have mental disorders. You can go search my whole motel room and there won't be any drugs in there. So, of course, the cop's like, oh, yeah, let's go over there. They ripped the room apart. They didn't find anything. Then they came back out, and they finally noticed me across the street filming, and the cop pointed the other cop, and he's like, oh. They uncuffed her. It was like, have a nice night. And then went in to talk to the whatever you call it, the office at the motel, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But we're just standing across the street filming in the middle of the morning, me and Olive walking around. And it just, every time they see that camera, so many times they see the camera, it's over, time to go, That should tell you something right there. But I just felt so bad. Like, this woman is just giving up all this private information about her medical conditions to these random gun-toting terrorists because she's terrified and she's restrained and cuffed. She's mentally ill. Why would you cuff her?
Yeah.
Who cares if she's on drugs? You know what I mean? What happened was she was sleepwalking, and they called the police. Somebody.
Fuck. See, there's the other thing too. I mean, like that thing in the city with that 17-year-old in the stormtroopers get up.
Yeah.
That city has a very large retired community. And there are old people everywhere in that city. Every neighborhood, they're everywhere.
How old do they have to be not to know what Star Wars is?
Pretty old.
Exactly.
But that's not the point. They're old. They're cranky. They're entitled. I don't like that. So I'm going to phone the police.
So basically what you're telling me is they said, look, that's an imaginary stormtrooper from the Star Wars movies. I'm going to call a real stormtrooper to come and threaten it.
Yep. I mean, that is a, very late boomer white mentality. I don't like that. get the cops. Because they're old and they're white. The cops are never going to do anything to offend them.
It just sounds funny, but there's people that call the police for everything. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I remember like, holy shit, 8 years ago, I was in Toronto and I basically kijiji'd a basement of a house for 5 days. And I didn't know Toronto at all. Like that's a city of now. Toronto itself is almost 5 million. The whole area is around 9 or 10 million. So here I am in somebody's house that I don't know, and I had to get around, and I was getting picked up by some dude from Twitter who I'd never met before, but he's coming to pick me up in Toronto, and I'm standing out on the street, and it's broad daylight, and I'm a white guy, blonde hair, not a hippie or nothing, and I was standing on this sidewalk for like 5 minutes, and some woman came out of the house next door to where I was staying, yelling and screaming at me to get the fuck out of the neighborhood. You don't belong here. Move it along. I'm phoning the cops. And I was just like, wow. Either you're on a lot of coke, lady, or you got nothing better to do. You know, it's just a mentality. She was that demographic. That's how they are.
Celeb Scolder in the chat says you are definitely or totally a hippie, Glenn.
Well, there must be different parameters involved. Maybe if you went back to the 80s? Yeah, okay. That's when I had my Robert Plant thing going on.
You're an 80s hippie. Oh, man. So, yeah, anything else on fuck the police, murderous ass terrorist police?
No, I mean, I agree. I think it is increasing again. And there's absolutely no pushback from anything that counts.
I wonder if it has something to do with election times. Like I haven't really paid attention to when it boosts, but it does every so often. It spikes up, and it has for a long time.
Yeah, but I think
it'll go down to a normal like so many killings a day or a week, but then it'll just spike up, and there's just like this whole rash of them.
I think it's too soon before the presidential election for that effect to be happening. This is about the virus and the lockdown. And like I said, if there are lockdown orders to be enforced by a police department, that's a free pass for the foreseeable future on a lot of things. So it's not like they're going to have their shift meeting and the role sergeant is going to say, okay, now, there's a lot more people that are restless at home, so you guys take it easy when you're out there and consider what you're doing. You're never going to hear that. You're going to hear, this is how much we get to charge for everybody who spends a night in the fucking tank. This is your quota. You got a lot more contestants out there. Have a good shift. That's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's wrong.
Yeah, I think it's going to come to the point where if they don't do something, which they're not going to do, the people are going to have to do it. And I don't know what it's going to look like. It might look like old pig patrols coming back, but more modern. People need to get out there and protect their neighborhoods. You see these cats coming through. They're terrible. You got to look at them like the enemy, and people got to come out and oppose them. Like, You're going to start beating on this dude, the whole neighborhood's going to come out with guns. We're going to get you off of them one way or another.
Yep.
Because their partners just stand there. They don't do anything. They'll join in sometimes.
Yep.
They'll lie, There are no good cops. We've said it a million times. There's a million videos all online of cop after cop murdering, beating, brutalizing, shooting, maiming, paralyzing, just robbing, stealing, planting evidence, just doing terrible stuff to people all day. And there's no videos of cops stopping them. You know, holding a gun to them saying, no, you're not going to beat that dude no more. Or dragging them off and arresting them. That never happens. Where's a YouTube channel of cops stopping cops from brutalizing people, from planting evidence? They all go along with it.
No, in my memory, the only cop that they were hell-bent on stopping was Dorner.
September 11th.
Yep.
We're going to celebrate Christopher Dorner Day. Because obviously 3,000 dead American citizens don't matter anymore. It's a small number. It's just silly. We're not going to care about that. We're going to care about the one cop we consider a hero, Christopher Dorner. That's how we should do it. September 11th is Christopher Dorner Day.
And see, that's another thing, too. You talk about 3,000 and some deaths on 9/11. Is that the daily total in the U.S. for COVID yet?
If it's not, it's getting close. So yeah, we're losing close to or averaging a 9/11 every fucking day. And you know, why aren't they playing these long tributes with the faces of the victims and stories about them and talking about them? You know,
I personally haven't seen any of that stuff. I mean,
none of it. It's like nobody's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why these right-wing conspiracies can go, because they don't have faces with these people. You know, imagine if a station, imagine if they did this just before, you know, on like November 1st or 2nd. Like, just the different news stations all just said, screw the election. We'll jump in and tell you who's winning. You know what I mean? But what we're going to do is we're going to play tributes to all the, by then it might be 90, 100, 120, 130,000 or more people who died. We're going to play each one's, you know, picture of them if we can get one, their name, the day they, you know, their day they were born and died, and have nice music. And some of them we're going to go into and talk about them and meet their family members that are left behind. Why don't they do that, man? I mean, they did that with 9/11. This is way worse. Who cares how the people die? You're supposed to care. America first. America, 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 America. These are American citizens dead, dying. And these people don't give a fuck about it. They're actually going out fighting for their right to make more dead Americans. Circling full circle back to the beginning of the show again.
Well, I mean, Tip O'Neill was right. Politics is in everything. Everything is political. And when you have elected people in governments saying that, you know, well, yeah, some people are going to die, but, you know, we have to get the economy going. I mean, that's fascism in 12 words.
Yeah.
That's exactly what fascism is. The blending together of the power of government and the strength of the corporate state. That's what fascism is. And this is what they are openly telling people that should be done. So,
Glenn, you know damn well wearing a mask is fascism, nothing else. That's what these people say. What? And
socialists are fascists too, because the Nazi Party was the National Socialist Workers' Party.
Yeah, we've gone into why that's not the case before, but yeah, people are idiots.
Yep.
I just go like this: say the poem, and when you say the poem, you'll figure it out. You know, who was the first people? Who was the first people the Nazis came for?
Yep. Oh yeah, well that's the way it works. But
and I was not a socialist, so I did not speak up. If they were socialist, why would they come for the socialists first? Did they arrest themselves? That doesn't make sense.
Well, they did some of that too, but they don't talk about that at all. But that's a whole nother show, man. Whole nother show.
But it wasn't because they were socialists.
No.
Yeah. There's. You know what, Glenn? We need to do that updated version of the 14 tenets now that things are where they are. Because we did them, I think, when Obama was still president, and all 14 out of 14 rang true. So I think maybe we should check, because maybe it got better and less fascist and we didn't know it.
Yeah, okay. We can hope.
Maybe only 12 or 13 out of the 14 will ring true now, and we can say progress.
There's your People's United Hope of the Week.
Wish and a prayer of the week, right?
Well, the one other side to this is, I know this is happening for a fact in the province that I live in. The right-wing ideologue shit-for-brains government in this province is pressing the pedal down on fucking people over, because it's impossible for there to be a protest in front of the legislature right now. They know they're not going to hear about it, because we're not allowed to get together and let them hear about it. So, hey, free pass. Let's have at her. Get that fucking knife out. Slash those budgets.
Slash those budgets. I hate politicians, man. I really hate them so much.
And let's give away billions to the oil industry. And our oil was negative a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Everything's working out great.
Anything else, Glenn?
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands. Wear a mask. And wear gloves. And fuck anybody who tells you not to. Fuck the police. That's the theme of today's show. Fuck Nazis. Fuck police. Fuck the government. Fuck the system.
And I think there's one thing to be said about the argument about PPE during this corona period. You're either a pussy for doing it, which is what the idiots like to trump about, but the reality is you're being the good person, because a mask still has no guarantee of protecting you from catching it. What it will prevent is you giving it to anybody else.
Yeah.
So if you're a decent fucking human being and you can get a mask, wear a mask. You never know.
And if you can't get a mask, you can make a mask. Get a bandana, get a rag, get a something. You know what I mean? Get a t-shirt, wrap it around a few times. Yeah. You can get a mask.
The countries that had mandatory masks, their numbers are infinitely lower than the United States numbers. Just like a week in March for the U.S. is like what they've gone through for 3 months, because you're wearing a mask. That's it.
You know what? I also, before we go, want to thank the bigots on YouTube. The bigots who use derogatory terms for homeless people and who seem to love the police and everything they do. Fuck those people. But I do want to thank them, though, because all these comments y'all leave on every video just boost my algorithm. So keep it coming. I love it. I don't ever monetize, but what I do is hope my videos go up higher so more people can see them, right? And then one day I'll have 1,000 subscribers and be able to live stream. And that's really what I'm looking for. Live stream straight to YouTube instead of Twitter, because it kind of sucks. But yeah, that's that. And stay tuned. I know he's got his finger on the button right now. Like as soon as this shows, no, just kidding. At 7 p.m. in about 40 minutes, Celeb Scolder's going to do Go Punk Yourself, 80s protest music tonight. Every night this week at 7 p.m. is another decade of protest music. And if you miss the 60s and 70s, just go back and listen at peoplesradiounited.com. Click on the little link to Spreaker and then go through the shows. There'll be just that show on there. And that's that. Anything else, Glenn, or we're out?
That's it. We're out.
Cool. Thank you for listening, and see you all when we come back, whenever the hell that is.